G'day and welcome to another episode of Kiwi Car Life. And about 20 years ago, Jeremy Clarkson, he compared these two cars, the Volkswagen Golf R32 Mark V and the first generation BMW 130i. And in the end, I think he decided that the 130i was the slightly more fun choice, but the R32 was the more dailyable choice thanks to the four-wheel drive and a little bit more room inside. But today, 20 years on, we're going to be revisiting these two cars now that you can pick them up for a hang of a lot less than they were when they were brand new, and seeing which one I think is the best. In terms of exterior styling, especially in the red, I think that the Golf R32 looks a lot better. At the front, it just has a little bit more going on, a slightly more aggressive front fascia, and from factory they have much nicer looking wheels. And around back likewise, the R32 comes factory with a little boot spoiler, has the very cool big twin exhausts in the middle that are extremely distinctive. But if you find an LCI M Sport 130i like what I've got, it's not a bad looking car either. The main similarity between these two hatchbacks is that unlike almost every other hot hatch which has some kind of four-cylinder turbocharged engine, these both have straight 6 or V6 engines. In terms of the power, the Golf's 3.2 litre VR6 makes 184 kilowatt, around 250 horsepower and 320 newton meters of torque, as opposed to the N52 3 litre straight 6 in my 130i, which makes 195 kilowatts, so 11 more than this, 261 horsepower and 315 newton meters, so 5 less than this. So really the power and torque are pretty much the same in both of them, but the significant difference, at least in the case of these two, is that this has the 6-speed dual clutch transmission, whereas mine has a 6-speed manual, and this sends power to all 4 wheels, whereas mine sends power to the rear wheels. The interior of the Golf overall is actually a pretty nice place to sit, and frankly the interiors of these cars in terms of their features are very similar. They both have dual zone climate control, they both have fully electric leather seats on both sides, they both have auto lights and wipers, xenon lights, and they come with a very similar infotainment screen which obviously does your radio and shows various information about the car. So really at that point it just sort of comes down to the look and the build quality. I do quite like the way the gauges look on these when you switch it on. It has a nice white and blue backlit theme, which I think is quite cool, whereas my one's a little more plain, it's just all orange. And I must admit, I think the seats in this car are a little more comfortable as well. The bolsters are a little wider, you have a little more room to sort of move around, but you also sit quite a bit higher in this car. You're kind of looking down on it, as opposed to the 130 where you sit very low and feel like you're kind of sitting in it. Another advantage of this is it does have a little bit more room in the back, but I think the 130i has just slightly nicer plastics on the inside and just feels perhaps a little bit better built. Driving the Golf R32 3.2 litre VR6. Holy moly! Wow, dual clutch, man. What a difference. The steering feels very similar in both. This has a slightly bigger steering wheel. I think the 1 Series rides a little bit better as well. It's just maybe a slightly more sort of luxury tuned ride. I guess when I took it out on track, people following me said that it did roll a little bit more, whereas this feels quite a lot more tight. Changes direction just maybe that little bit quicker. But the transmission, it's really not bad at all, I've got to say. The new 2-litre turbo ones, they almost just look so good that it's a little bit video gamey. Whereas this one, the downshifts are very smooth, the upshifts are quite just bang into the next gear. There's a little bit of gear shock, and it is just that little bit more fun, I must say. But there is something to be said for changing gears yourself. I think one of these with a manual would be sensationally good. See how the handling is. Oh, it's so quick. High speed stability, how is it? Oh, very good. That's quick through there, man. Traction control's interfering a little bit. Man, that's deeply impressive actually. That's really quick. And it's just planted. The Euro cars, man, they do that so well. See, look at that upshift from 2 to 3. It shifted so hard, the dash rattled as it upshifted, you know? And so I think the automatic paired with the VR6 is a better combination than the ZF6 paired with the N52. But manual versus manual, well, I suppose we'll have to take the 130 out and see which one I prefer. Oh, those shifts are so hard, eh? It's been a couple of weeks and we're back in the 130i. Having now driven the R32 and the 130i back to back and had a bit of time to think things over, I've come to the conclusion that if you want an old school 6-cylinder hatchback, these are the two to have. Compared with the Blade and the Audi and the Alpha, these cars are just sharper, better to drive, better steering feel, better noise, more readily available with a manual, and just genuinely fantastic cars to drive in any driving circumstance. Whether it be tearing up a coastal road like this or just driving through town, the handling, but also the ride quality, the ease of driving, the features, the comfort of the seats, the quietness on the open road, like European small hatchbacks, but with a smooth, powerful 6-cylinder engine paired with either a really nice Getrag manual transmission or a Borg-Warner dual clutch. It's just the best of the best from this sort of era. Now, which one's better? That's a very hard question to answer because it's highly subjective and really depends on what you're looking for. The 130s are easier to find in manual and they are rear-wheel drive, so you can kind of toss them around a little bit more. But the R32's got a better automatic transmission, and the four-wheel drive for people who look for that is really quite good to have. So it's pretty hard to choose between them, man. They're both pretty much the best sub 10 grand cars to buy in my mind if you want something that's just going to do everything well. Now yes, there's cars that will handle better, that will be faster, but there's very few cars out there for this sort of money that have all the features, the comfort, the performance, the sound, and they still go flipping well, man. You know, you put your foot down second gear, up a big steep hill like this, no problem at all. Getting up to speed, really quite quick. Drive both and you will love both of them, I'm sure, and then you've just got to find the best example of either or, and I think you'll absolutely love it. And I will look forward to seeing you again next time.